Give folks a few minutes to join. Hello, Kay. Lori. I don't know what to call you on here. There's my friend Diana. How are you ladies doing today? Hey, I was feeling very Mr. Rogers-y, so I found a little something. I watched the A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood over the weekend, and it is still with me. So I thought we could have some background music until we got started. I was trying to keep my mouse on the pause button, so if it's I can remember to hit pause. So it was a very good movie. I cried all the way through it. So, and I watched it in like 3 chunks because every time I'd get right a really good part, the family would come home, so I'd have to stop and then restart it later. So it was really good. So, hi Brittany, hi Kayla. We are going to get started in a few minutes. I usually like to give a couple of minutes, let folks time to hop on, because I know it takes a minute with Facebook notifications. We were just talking about my theme music. Yes, he was. And I said I was feeling very Mr. Rogers-y, so I wanted to play something in the background until we got started. I'd watched A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and we were talking about that. So I'm probably tardy to the party on that, but I live in a house full of boys, so they watch what they watch. So we'll give it just another couple of minutes and we'll get started. Hope everyone's staying cool. The humidity has been crazy this week. So I was going to go outside and give you guys a different view today, but humidity and the dogs, which I'm sure you hear in the background, would not make that possible. So let me go ahead and pause that. So I don't have a whole lot today, but if you've got questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat, or if you think about it later, feel free to message me, email me. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. I was looking to see if anything new revelatory had come out, and a couple of things stood out to me that I felt like I should pass along. And then in the end, we're going to talk a little bit about an FMLA policy. So last week we talked about who has to offer FMLA, not last week, 2 weeks ago, who has to offer FMLA, what does that look like, what does that mean, and then today we're just going to talk about the administration side. I'm not going to get real deep. Again, I like to keep these high level, but if it's something that you have questions about, something you want to get a little deep diver into, feel free to reach out to me after the live, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. I feel like my voice is off from my mouth. If it's coming across that way on the live, I apologize. I do not know how to fix it. So, all right. So first of all, on July 8th, the Department of Treasury and the IRS issued Notice 2020-54, which gives employers guidance on how to report the amount of qualified sick leave wages and qualified family leave wages that they paid to employees under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, the FFCRA. So with that, employers will have to report those amounts paid on either a Form W-2 in Box 14 or a separate statement. So those are wages earned that are taxable, and those are going to be showing up on the employee side on that W-2, Box 14, or a separate statement. The reporting requires employees who are also self-employed to report as well if they were able to receive any assistance. The big thing here that I thought was interesting is an employer can request an advance credit of what's due to them. So when the employer goes to recoup their money, the money that they paid out under FFCRA for paid sick leave or paid family medical leave, that is done on your quarterly employment tax return, which is Form 941. If you need an advance on that, you can fill out Form 7200, and it's an advance of employer credits due to COVID-19. So if you have a business that's struggling and you need to get some of that money back before you file your quarterly taxes, feel free to go ahead and apply for that. It's Form 7200, and I can post this on the BIM website as well. In order to claim the credit going forward, and you may already be doing this, is that your quarterly employment tax returns, that Form 941, you're going to fill out the information there. And the credit is taken against the employer's share of Social Security tax, but the excess is refundable under normal procedures. I know very little about those tax forms, so if it's a question specific to them, I'm probably not going to be able to help you, but I will definitely try to point you in the right direction. So that's just something to keep in mind, that if you do need that advance, it's available. And if you haven't done it, you can go ahead and, when you do your employment tax return on 941, you can go ahead and fill that out. So that's all for COVID-19, other than if you're in Kentucky, you know that we now have, revised orders. We're pulling back a little bit due to the increased cases of COVID. Hopefully we'll turn that around again quickly though. But aside from that, the other thing that I thought was interesting is the IRS has come out regarding ACA reporting. So the employer mandate reporting that is due every year for groups of 50 or more. There is no statutes of limitations on how far back they can go to assess penalties. So it could be 15 years from now, and they could come back to 2020 and say, you missed this, this, and this. You owe penalty plus interest. So it's very important to make sure that the reports are done correctly and timely, and that you don't have to worry about them, because there is no reason for the IRS there's nothing stopping the IRS from coming back 10 years down the road. The other thing that ties into that is just, I believe it was earlier this week, it might have been end of last week, the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration announced that basically the IRS isn't doing their job to the fullest extent that they should on ACA penalty letters. So that's that 226J letter. Some of you I know have received that letter. We've worked with you to help rebuttal it. We've actually had a couple of clients that we worked with an attorney to rebuttal it. So that's that, you didn't do something right on your 1094, 1095 mandate reporting. So now we're going to assess a penalty. In every one of the cases that I've seen, it has been either the IRS did not catch it properly, or the employer failed to fill out a column or a line or something along those lines. So what the Treasury Inspector General of Tax Administration has said is that, hey, IRS, you should have collected X number amount of fees by now, and you haven't. You've only collected about 5% of what we think you should have collected. So therefore, you need to pay more attention, you need to get more diligent, and you need to go after these penalties and fees. Now, we all know that the IRS said, hey, there's a good faith effort for filing their reports. This article lends me to believe that the good faith efforts will be placed on the timely filing of the said report, not on, did you fail to fill out a column, or did you fail to fill out a line, or did you use the wrong code? So please be diligent in completing the 1094, 1095 reporting. Specifically, they called out 1094C Part 3, Column A, to ensure that you have those reports as accurate as you can before you hit submit. The IRS is probably going to amp up their game on 226J letters. And again, that tied in with no statute of limitations. Who knows what's going to happen? So, and along with that, I am working with the National Association of Health Underwriters Compliance Corner to work with legislation in Washington. And one of the things the White House has asked us for is the amount of money that it costs an employer in time and in third-party fees to complete the employer reporting, as well as replying to 226J letters. So if you or someone you know is in the HR world and you know that they've spent whatever on reporting and mailing out those notices or in responding to a 226J letter, if you could just drop me the number and the amount of lives that client has, if it's not you, that would be great. If it is you, just that number of how much it costs you per year to do the ACA employer mandate reporting. I've talked to a couple of folks this morning who, one of them said, well, our payroll vendor does it and I just check it and we send it off electronically. But what are you paying your payroll vendor to offer that service? How much of your time and your hours are spent checking to make sure they're correct? The White House is asking for this information. We want to get it to them, obviously. I've sent a few examples this morning, and the number's been anywhere from 1,500 to 5,000. So, again, if you've got some information and you want to pass that along, I'm happy to receive it. You can email me or call me, whatever's easier for you. I think most of you have my cell phone number, so feel free to text me. If you want to email it, you can send it to deanna@bimgroup.us. That's all for ACA reporting. Before I jump into FMLA, is there any questions on anything I've covered so far? Or maybe it's something I haven't covered and you've got a question on how to handle a situation? All right, I will give a couple of minutes for you guys to ask any questions. What prompted me to go back to FMLA today was that, last month the FMLA issued updated FMLA forms. Well, they issued more updated forms on the 16th of July, which was last Thursday. These forms aren't much different from the ones in June, and you can use either or. The intent was these forms are electronically fillable PDFs and can be saved electronically. You can also use your own forms if they provide the basic notice information, only require the same basic certification. So the new forms that were updated expire in 2023. So hopefully they won't update them again between now and then, but who knows? I don't question when they update things. So even if it is just to make it electronically fillable. I'm having trouble with my words today. So the notices that are available with the electronic information is the eligibility notice, the rights and responsibilities notice. Now, if you're a BIM client and you get the notice packet from us, there is a FMLA notice in that packet. So just be aware that that's there if you're subject to FMLA. There's a designation notice where the employee informs where you inform the employee whether or not the FMLA has been approved. And then there's certification forms. Those certification forms are the employee's serious health condition or a family member's health condition or certification of military family leave. And we talked about those a couple of weeks ago. And if you want to go back and catch the replay of that, you can catch it here in the group, or you can watch it on bimgroup.us/COVID-19. Scroll all the way down to the bottom to Tuesday Talk. So, again, just to reiterate, the FMLA doesn't require any specific format. They just want all of the same information on there. They've tried to make them easier to understand, easier to read, easier for administrators. And if you've already had an employee complete a certification, you cannot make them complete another one just because there's a new updated form. So I know there's someone on here watching who I just sent forms to. Those are probably not the updated ones from July 16th because I just found out today they were out there, but you don't have to get another one. It'll work just fine. Any questions on that? Hey, Lisa and Amy, thanks for joining. Hey, Elise. So a couple things to think about with FMLA. The administration side, if you're doing it in-house, it can be cumbersome. It can be scary if you've never had anybody apply for FMLA. Again, I know there's someone watching who hasn't had that FMLA situation pop up before, and now it has. And the first question is, what do I do and how do I do it? So if you're a group that is subject to FMLA and you've never had it, that doesn't mean you won't. I would highly recommend go ahead and creating an FMLA leave policy. We have a sample policy that you can use that you can kind of crib from. It basically is just going to hold all the information about how that FMLA leave is going to be handled. So first and foremost, confirm that you're subject to FMLA. If you're over 50, if you have more than 50 employees within a 75-mile radius, you are subject to FMLA. If you are over 20 employees but under 500 employees, you are subject to FFCRA, expanded family medical leave, and expanded paid sick leave for COVID. You want to include in your policy the qualifying reasons for employees to take FMLA. You're sick, your spouse is sick, dependent child sick, whatever that may be. Determine the method that employees must use to request leave, whether they go through their supervisor, whether they come directly to HR, do they send an email, do they call, how benefit premiums are going to be paid while they're on leave. That's probably the biggest question I get is, okay, somebody's on leave now. What do I do about their premiums? Well, my question back to you is going to be, what does your policy say? And if you don't have a policy, then we can't really say, well, this is how it has to be done. So your FMLA policy would outline how payment would be handled while the person's on leave. And we're talking about the employee's premium share. Some employers have employees pay their premium share just as they would if they were employed and getting a paycheck, whether that's every week or every 2 weeks. It is post-tax because it's a check written by the employee to the employer for the health plan. Some employers will just waive it and pay for it themselves. Some of them will recoup it in the end. So when the employee comes back to work after FMLA is over or exhausted, then they recoup the premium over a 2, 3, 4, 5 paycheck period. So the employee doesn't have to worry about it while they're out. The employer doesn't have to worry about it trying to cash a check and manage all that, that they do it in arrears. There's pros and cons to each situation. So what I would say is if you don't know what that is, let's have a conversation, see what works best for you. One of the biggest cons I can think of by collecting it as arrears is if someone goes out on FMLA, coincides with short-term disability, and then they go into long-term disability and they don't come back to work. So if they don't come back, you don't have any means of recouping 12 weeks of premium that you paid. Now, some employers that may not matter. Some employers, it may be a big deal. So we just need to kind of talk through what works best for your situation. You want to establish guidelines on how employees are communicated with while on FMLA. Are you reaching out to them personal cell phone, a personal email? What's the situation? And how are you going to get in touch with them to be able to keep communication going? And then determine how you're going to reintegrate them into the work, into the building or into their role. So, with FMLA, your job's protected. You come back to work, you can be put in your job or a similar job. So how are you going to reintegrate them back into the workplace after they've been on leave? And again, I am having trouble with my words today, and I apologize. We have a great FMLA administration checklist that I'm happy to share on the Tuesday Talk page as well. It's from Think HR, one of our strategic partners, and it really walks through FMLA administration from beginning to end. It starts with the beginning process when the employee requests leave from you. It goes on from during leave, end of leave, and then it has links to a whole bunch of fact sheets that if you would like access to, I'm happy to share those with you if you don't have Think HR as a resource at your fingertips. So, and there's also a sample policy. Again, I'm happy to share on the Tuesday Talk page. Actually, I may share that in this group because that's a proprietary piece. So I may just share that in this group. But with that being said, I just wanted to give that little piece of information on FMLA and talk about the administration of it to see if anybody had any questions or issues. Is anybody struggling with any particular topic that you would like to hear me speak on the next session, which will be 2 weeks from today? Be happy to address any concerns. If you think of something afterwards, feel free to email me or call. I'm happy to speak on a topic that's relevant to you. That's what this is about. And hopefully I'll be able to speak more clearly in 2 weeks. I don't know what is going on with me today. So I hope everyone is doing well and that your questions are being addressed. I am going to give it a few minutes. These talks, we try to keep them to 20 minutes, and we're at that 20-minute mark. So I'm going to hold on for a few minutes, see if we get any questions. Otherwise, you are free to go and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And I look forward to speaking and seeing everybody again in 2 weeks. Hope you all are well. And again, I'm going to hang here for a minute. So if you got a question, ask now, and then I'll end the live in a few moments. Oh, sorry. Okay, great. I don't see any questions, and I'm getting some thumbs up, so I will let everyone go and get back to your day, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Have a great one. Bye.